Okay, so this is going to be a video announcement for the first week of 111. And so I just wanted to spell some things out, kind of the philosophy behind what I'm doing and so on, really quickly. And then also tell you about what you need to do. So basically, for week one is more familiarizing yourself with the material, and I'll type up what you need to look for over the coming weeks. The biggest thing that you need to be aware of, well, the biggest things you need to be aware of. Number one, the last two semesters online, I've had one group of students say they wanted fewer videos for announcements, and another group of students say they wanted more videos for announcements. And so I'm going to try to do both. And so I'm going to do a video one week and then, just a text announcement one week, and so on and so forth. Try to mix it up a little bit. You are responsible for the material that's in the videos, however. So if you see a video, watch it. I know that you have other things to do, and listening to me is probably not that exciting, which is why you took an online course rather than a brick and mortar one. But if the video is 5 or 6 minutes long, just go and listen to it. Okay, there's no reason not to do that. Most of the time, I have a student asking me a question. If it's covered in a video, the first response you're going to get from me is, "Did you watch the video?" And that's going to be your cue to say yes, or rather no, I did not, and then go and watch the video. What has happened in the past is students say, "Yeah, I watched the video. I didn't hear you talk about that," and then I will send them a link to the video with the timestamp where I answered that question already. So make sure you're watching the videos, that you're paying attention to them, that you might even want to take some notes, so you have reminders of dates and so on. So the biggest hub for activity over the entire semester is going to be the discussion board. Every week you're going to have a discussion board post that you need to do. And so again, I've had different reactions. Some students have said they wanted them released weekly, the discussion boards, and other students say they wanted big chunks so they could work ahead if they wanted to. So this semester I'm going to try the big chunk thing, but everything's still going to be due weekly. And so what's going to happen is when you go to the discussion board, you'll see week one, week two, week three, and week four all available for you. And then week one will be due at the end of week one, which would be Saturday, for instance, for us, January 13th. And then week two will click off. You will no longer be able to access it on January 20th. And then week three, the 27th, week four, the 3rd. And those should be visible to you on Blackboard. So when you take a look at the discussion board, it should say this is available until whatever date. If you don't see that, let me know and I'll post it in a separate announcement. But what's going to happen throughout the semester is that for our first unit, which is about journalism, for instance, you will see all of the links open up and then they will click off every week. So they'll kind of just shrink over time. And then once we get through with week four, you'll see 5, 6, 7, I think 8 open up, and you'll go through those weekly and so on. We'll see how that works this semester. But for those that want to get ahead, it's still there, but there is still a required time frame for you to do this on a weekly basis. So that's the way that we're going to be doing discussion boards this semester. So otherwise, the big things to keep an eye on, just reading the syllabus, understanding the rules that are in there, familiarizing yourself with the layout of the class. If you are not familiar with MLA style, your first two papers will be in MLA style. You can research those independently, or I have a presentation on MLA style under course documents, if I remember correctly. Paper number one will be due in about 3 or 4 weeks. So you might want to read what paper number one is about and then also watch the video I provided about paper number one. Those would be under the assignments tab. Those are kind of the big 3 links you'll have, well, big 4, I guess. The syllabus will have the syllabus and schedule on it. Course documents will have all the extra material like lectures and so on and so forth. The assignments tab will have all of your assignments, and then the discussion board will be sort of the weekly hub that you go through. For turnitin.com, you see an announcement that's separate that has the login information. Turnitin.com, you will be giving me your major 4 papers through turnitin.com. So paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, we'll all do that. Everything else should funnel through to the discussion board unless I have something else that I'm adding in there, and that probably won't happen. So that's what turnitin.com, that function is for. So those are kind of the things that you need to keep an eye out for in week one, just sort of familiarizing yourself with things. You have some readings to do. The discussion board is a little more vague in general because people are still trying to find their textbooks and purchase those and so on. And then the discussion boards basically are available. You can do them once a week, basically, 3 posts per week. So what you want to do is have an initial post as a response to whatever I've put on the discussion board, and then 2 responses to what other people have said. So those rules are all on the discussion board tab as well. So you can have those there for you every time you go to the discussion board. So the biggest thing is just keep an eye out on all of the material that's there at the front, basically the syllabus, the schedule, the discussion board post, the MLA style presentation, and getting yourself ready for paper number 1. In an online course, the onus is always on the student to do this stuff. It's not as if I'm in the classroom in front of you saying, all right, reminder, this is due this day and this day and this day and this day. That's what I do in my brick and mortar classes. Every day I go in and I tell them when everything is due in the first 5 minutes of class. So you don't have that luxury in online class. So you have to watch very carefully all the stuff that's happening. There aren't any makeups on discussion boards, for instance. So once that clicks off, that clicks off, because I can't open it up for just one person. I have to open it up for everybody. And so just kind of keep that in mind. You know, you have to read the material as it's given to you. I can't be there saying, did you read the material, on a regular basis, or having class discussions and sort of ferreting out if you know what you're talking about, and so on. So one other thing I'll note that a lot of students wrestled with last semester is they didn't really participate in the class, and then they turned in a paper that didn't really fit with what we wanted. So each of the units, so unit number 1 is journalism, unit number 2 is education, or actually unit number 1 is education, unit number 2 is journalism, and then medicine, and then law, okay? And each of those units will lead up to the paper. So paper number 1 will be about education. Paper number 2 will be in a rhetorical mode about journalism, and so on. So all the stuff that you've been reading will lead up to what you've been doing. And like I tell students, you should be thinking of your papers just as you would your chemistry exam, okay? All of the material has been presented to you over the previous 3 or 4 weeks, and this essay, in this case, is a summative assessment of everything that you've learned and mastered, okay? Some people will do well, some people won't do well. The key is being able to recover from that regardless, okay? And say, all right, well, here's why I didn't do well. This is what I need to improve on next time. If you get a 20 or a 40 or a 60 on your first paper, it isn't the end of the world. What that means is you have a lot of stuff that you need to work on for paper number 2. There are students who will say, oh God, I've got a 60, and they will immediately drop the class, or they'll withdraw from the class, or they will just stop participating in the class. That's fine. That's your own adult decision. Alternatively, I've seen students who've gotten a 60 and they're like, oh, what do I need to do to improve? And so they find a tutor, they ask me questions, they have me look over their rough drafts, they stop into my office, all these sorts of things. So how much effort you put out in this class is sort of the same thing as like a chemistry or biology class. You know, if you don't study, if you don't practice, if you don't participate in the class, you can't expect to do well on the exam, okay? And in this case, you can't expect to do well on the essay. So just kind of keep that in mind. The essays, I keep saying exam, but the essays are summative assessments of everything that you've learned in those prior 4 weeks, okay? And in an online class, that's very difficult because it's up to you to be sort of an independent and engaged learner without me there pestering you every 2 days or 3 days, okay? So that's basically what's going to go on. I'll add more information over the weeks. You'll get a weekly announcement from me, usually on Sunday or Monday. Sometimes it'll be text, sometimes it'll be video, and so on. But again, if it's a video, watch it, pay attention to it, take notes. If you ask me a question of something I've already answered in the video, you'll get the response of, did you watch the video? Which should be your cue to go and watch the video. So other than that, we got 15 weeks in front of us. We have 4 papers and a whole bunch of discussion board posts. So start thinking about how you're going to approach the class, how you're going to budget your time. And again, the mindset should be, I'm going to do this stuff for 3 weeks, get ready for my exam, which is my essay, okay? And really work hard on this exam, or essay in this case, and so on. That should be your mindset, just as you would approach an algebra class, or a chemistry class, or a biology class, or a nursing class, right? All that stuff we're talking about leads up to this assessment, okay? And if you don't do well on this assessment, then the good news is you have future assessments to do better. Plenty of students have gotten, I've had a student last semester who got a 20 on their first paper, just didn't follow the instructions, wasn't engaged in the course. But then they were like, oh, I really need to do better on this. And so they started seeing a tutor, they started paying attention to class, and they finished with a B in the class, no problems. Okay, they got all A's and B's on their final papers. So again, level of engagement is entirely up to you. But you know, the more engaged you are in online class, look, I know that you can do the bare minimum discussion board post for an online class in 10 minutes, okay, and say, I'm done, all right? But that does show up when you get to that final paper, okay? So make sure that you're keeping up with the class and that you're engaged with the class. That's the best way to succeed. And that you're engaged with me. If you have questions, email me. If you are unclear about something, email me. Stop in my office. I'll be posting my office hours once I know what my schedule is, and so on. So just kind of keep engaged in online class. It's very tempting to do the bare minimum every week or every few weeks when you have so many other things going on. I encourage you not to do the bare minimum, to stay engaged, do the readings, to start thinking about what you're going to write for your first paper within days, okay, and get everything squared away. Stay on schedule. Otherwise, again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email will be in the syllabus, and I'll be posting my office hours and a separate announcement within the next few days.